What's good, YouTube? How you guys doing today? Welcome to the garage. I got the bike behind me, just so you guys have a little bike in your life, because this isn't the normal spot. I recorded this already once before, and I didn't like the way it came out. I just didn't like the way the video came out after I edited it. So I'm doing this again. I hope it's better this time. And yeah, so enjoy this Q&A. So I got a list of questions here. I'm just gonna rattle them off. I'm gonna answer them as best as possible. First question is, what kind of bike do you ride? I ride a 2000 Ninja ZX7R. It's a Kawasaki. It's a 750 model. It's my first bike. Fucking love the thing. Knock on wood. Hasn't done me wrong yet, and she runs like a dream. How old are you? I'm around 20-something years old. What editing software do you use? I use Sony Vegas Pro 13. In my opinion, it's the best software for beginners, and also it has the potential of being like a professional software, so your editing on it can be pretty good depending on how you want to do it. If you want to add certain effects, coloring, it's just a great software. I love it. I've used Adobe Premiere, Windows Movie Maker, iMovie. I used a bunch of different softwares before, and this is the one I keep coming back to, and I love it. How long do you ride to get a 10-minute video? I try to stay away from the 10-minute video mark, only because the attention span of some people isn't 10 minutes. If I do 10 minutes, I will make sure it's interesting enough for a 10-minute video. But I can go out for a half-hour ride and get a 10-minute video. It all depends on your topic that you're speaking of. If you're just going out there just to ride and hopefully get footage, it will take a lot longer to get clips to make a 10-minute video. So you can go out and ride for 3 hours and just barely hit the 10-minute mark unless you have something interesting going on. So always go out and get your topic settled and talk about something interesting so you don't have to go into that 10-minute mark. And if you do, hopefully it's interesting enough. So that's my take on it. This is a good one. How do you come up with your video topics? To start off with, I usually pick my topics before I go out on a ride. And lately with the Moto Amino app, it's been easier to come up with topics because everyone's throwing ideas back and forth at each other. And you can take some of those ideas and you can twist them. You can take two ideas, combine them into one. But usually I just go by what I've seen, what I've seen that other moto vloggers have used at work. Sometimes they're current events. Sometimes it's just stuff that happens in my daily life. So finding a topic can be hard sometimes, but most of the time it's pretty easy. I usually just go out there, and after my normal intro that I start off with, usually something just hits me and I roll with it. How long have you been riding? I've been riding for about 3 years now. What got you into riding? Well, I know you can't see it because I checked the camera angle, but there's a quad right here. It's not ours, but my dad's working on it. But this is like what we do. My dad's been working on machinery, everything, anything that has a motor since I was born. So I've always been around motors, so I've always been interested in that kind of stuff. Cars, quads, motorcycles, dirt bikes, everything. 2-stroke engines, 4-stroke, whatever it is. So I've always had an interest in those types of things, and when I was about 8 years old, I was at an elementary school. 8 years old in elementary school. I was at an elementary school fair, and they had a book. It was probably like 2 inches thick, 4 inches tall, and about 3 inches wide, or 4 inches wide. And it was just full of motorcycles, just pictures of them. It had like their specs, how much they are, and all that stuff. And I just went through that book every night, and I just flipped through it, and I was like, I want that bike, I want that bike, I want that bike. And that's when I really started getting into motorcycles. But I've been around motors all my life, so that's how I really got into it. What's a good beginner bike? Now, I'm not going to go in depth with this because that's a different video, and I think I covered it in one of my earlier videos. I'll have to check. If I haven't, then I will definitely make a video on it. But it's all about your comfort level. It's about how you are comfortable on the machine and your respect level for that machine. If you're going to hop on a 250 and you're nervous of hopping on a 250, don't go with anything bigger than that. If you've ridden quads or dirt bikes or whatever, and you have a level of respect for power, you can bump yourself up to like a 600 or 1000 in that range. But you got to remember, you have to be comfortable on it. You can't be nervous. If you're nervous jumping on it, then things will happen because you'll get nervous with the throttle response. You can be just riding down the road and all of a sudden someone will cut you off and you'll either hit the gas or hit the brake or do both at the same time. You'll screw yourself up and you'll scare yourself to the point where you won't want to ride. So you got to go with your respect level and your comfort level. That's my best advice. I'm not going to pick a bike for you. You just got to know for yourself on what fits you and how you are as a person. Mac or PC? I like Mac, but I love PC. Everyone has their own debate about this, like PC's better or Mac's better. You don't get viruses on Mac, but PC you can do a lot more stuff. I prefer PC because it's easier and you can do a lot more with the PC than you can with the Mac. A Mac, you're very restricted to your outside world, and they do that so you don't get viruses, so that they keep the reputation that they have. I don't know, I just like PC. That's what I use. That's what I grew up with. I got a Mac for when I was going to go to college, but I never went to college. And I got that back in high school. And I don't know, I don't even use it anymore. It just literally sits on my desk in my room. The only time I use it is when we go away, and that's just for storage, so I can take my videos off my GoPro and put them onto my MacBook. Do you plan on getting a new bike in the future? And if so, what kind of bike will you get? There's 3 bikes that I really like right now. I like the ZX10R, I like the Z1000, and I'm also in love with the ZX14R. Out of those 3 bikes, I'll probably either fall into either the Z1000 or the 14R, only because I want that power and I want to have a big ego when it comes to it. I know it sounds funny, but I see a lot of Hayabusas around here, and I know the 14R is a Hayabusa killer to start off with. It's insane. But the money's not there. I'm obviously not going to get one of those, so my next bike will probably be a Z1000 or a ZX10R. Probably the Z1000. Recommended action cameras for helmet and second camera. I'm assuming third person or something along the lines. I use a GoPro. I use the Hero 3 Plus Silver. I know it's not the best one out there, but it does what I need it to do. That's what I recommend as your helmet camera, first person view, only because that's all I've really used. But I also have a Geek Pro 2.0, and that's what I use up here as my third person camera. And it's a good camera. It's definitely a good camera. It does have some shake to it from jello from the vibrations, but other than that, it's a good camera. If you're going to get just a camera for your helmet right away, like you're just beginning and you're automatically thinking about a third person camera, trust me, you will not use it as much as you think you will. Plus also syncing the video sometimes is a little difficult, and it's not that it's difficult, it's just a pain in the butt. And sometimes when you're on the road, you don't even pay attention to it at all, so even when you're recording with it, sometimes that footage just goes to waste. I don't really pay attention to it that much. I don't really remember to put it on my bike, but I would go with like a GoPro. I would go with the newer ones. Definitely not the 5 that they came out with, because it's pointless. Hero 3 Plus Silver was good for me. I know they got the 4 Plus Black and the 4 Plus Silver and the Hero Session 4. Hero Session 4 is difficult. I wouldn't go with that, only because it's compact. I would use that more of like a third person camera more than a first person camera, only because of its usability, problems that it has. But definitely a GoPro. Alright guys, well that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's the second time me doing this. I hope it's better than the first time. Sorry if I seemed a little like down and out and drowsy, just like kind of like just focusing on the camera. I'm sure I'll get better with Q&As over time. I'm just thinking of everything that goes into a question, and I focus more on the question than I do how I present myself. So I apologize for that. I hope you enjoyed. T-shirts are out. There's only 5 days left on the t-shirts. I don't know when this is going to get out there, probably when there's only like 2 or 3 days left. So make sure you get yourself a t-shirt. Links will be in the description below. And that's it for me, guys. As always, stay beautiful. Peace.